Hey guys, this is Vinay and you're watching my show Let's Talk. Today I'm very happy to be sitting next to the guest here. She's one of the youngest players of India. She's broken a lot of records and she's an inspiration to young sports people across the world. She's none other than Joshna Chinappa. Joshna, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking time and being on the show. Did sports was always in your family?
Yeah, I mean, my granddad played squash, my great-granduncle played squash.
So 3 generations is correct?
Yeah, that would be correct. And everyone played sports in my family. So.
And then when you were growing up and having your education and stuff, sports, I'm sure it would have been an integral part of it. But did you know that you're going to take this up as a career option?
Well, I was exposed to squash because of my dad. He was a squash player himself. He still plays. I think I was pretty young. I was probably 10 when I decided that this was going to be my career. I always say it was because I didn't want to go to school. I just wanted to play all day. But obviously my mom being, the driving force behind us at home, she was very particular that I did study as well, and but I still played a lot of squash. So my priority was squash, but I still had to
balance it out and finish your... You come from the family of sports. 3 generations have been playing sports and your dad's a squash player. It was very natural for you to get into squash?
Yes, pretty much, because I used to tag along with my dad to the Madras Cricket Club, and he introduced me to the game. I played other sports as well. Like tennis, badminton, everything. I would just run around all over the club when I was pretty young. But I kind of took it up seriously when I was 9, 10, and I decided that I was only going to stick to squash, and that's how it all started.
And choosing between badminton, tennis and squash, what was it that was going on in your 10-year-old head?
I enjoyed playing all sports basically, and my parents told me that I could choose any one sport because they didn't want me playing everything and then not becoming good at any. So I think I chose squash because it was something familiar about it. My dad played, he could guide me, he coached me for a very long time, into my junior career. So it just felt natural to
take up squash. Yeah. And academics is a very important part in any of our lives. Yeah. So did you have to juggle and manage?
I did. I mean, today if you ask me how did I do it, I have no idea. But I managed. I had a very supportive school and college that helped me. They just said go play and come back, and you just had to do your exams. So fortunately I was smart enough to get through exams, but my parents and I was always very sure that squash was going to be my career
option. Yeah.
But I'm very glad and grateful that my mom pushed me to do school and college. So
you finished all of that?
Yes, I finished all.
But did you miss having the normalcy life? I'm sure you must be practicing, and when your friends were out there playing and enjoying life. Did you kind of miss that?
No, not really, because firstly I was traveling the world, and all my friends, wished they could be who I was. And I had a very good, happy childhood. So I had really good friends in school, and everything was great. So I didn't really feel like I was
missed out on anything.
At all. Yeah.
And how, back then, probably 10 years back, in terms of squash as a sport, India as a country, we celebrate cricket more. And the other sports are kind of not so much in the limelight. So how was it back then when you said that you're a squash player?
Yeah, I mean 10 years back, squash was still a very elite sport. It was always a club level sport. You had to be of a certain economic standard to be, to have access to the club and play squash. And so it was very hard to get sponsorship. My parents really struggled to send me for tournaments, and because I had to play a minimum of 7 to 8 all around the world, and then going to train abroad, so it became very, very expensive. But somehow I managed to win some tournaments that helped push me a little bit into the news and papers, and people started really noticing what squash was. And then when we recently started winning medals at the Commonwealth and Asian Games, that really took the sport to another level in the country, and we got recognition from the government, from the ministry, and so I think squash is much, much better off today than it was 10 years back.
And do you remember your first big win?
My first tournament that I played that was international was the Singapore Junior Open actually, and it was at Kalang Squash Center, which I'm sure you would know. So I won the under 13 there, and it was my first junior tournament. And so I have very, very good memories of that,
Singapore and the tournament.
Singapore and winning there, and so that was that.
What did you do? I mean, did you feel really good, and did it get into your head?
No, so I've always been someone who I play. If I win, great. I will eat more chocolate after that, and then I just come back to normal. Like you go back to the the drawing board where you're training again, and so I don't take it too seriously, and I never really have. So.
And the losses?
Losses
How
I
bad?
take very hard. Yeah, I take my losses very hard. But I think it's important to bounce back and not be too hard on yourself. Otherwise, it gets harder to snap out of that little depression.
But how many days or how many hours do you take to get out of it?
I probably don't sleep that whole night that I've lost the match. I'll be thinking about it and seeing what I could have done differently, and take a couple of days off, and then get back to the whole routine of training.
And what happens when you're actually playing a match and you know that this match is probably not going in the way that you wanted it to go? How do you pep yourself up?
There are times where it's obviously in between games, it's hard. You're playing a tough competitor who's probably top 10 in the world, and there are times where I've been almost lost but still won that match. So I think it's about really believing in yourself, knowing that you've done the work as well before going into that match, and really playing every point and not giving up.
And I was talking to Pankaj Advani, your good friend as well, I guess. So he was, when I was asking him, when you're playing something and when you know that you're at the verge of losing, what do you do? So he said that's the best moment, because in your head you've given up, there's no pressure, but then you go and play and you enjoy the game, and sometimes that can be the game changer and you completely toss it up. Yeah. So any match that you remember that you've played that it was like you for sure in your head you knew that you're going to lose it, but then it was a changed one later?
Well, about 6 months back, I was going for the Qatar Open, and the draws came out, and in the first round I was playing the world number 1. So I was like, okay, God, thank you.
Wow.
I like to play a world number 1, but not in the first round. And I think when you see that, you're like, okay, you can win it, but you're not 100% sure because she's still world number 1. And then I trained, I did the work, and then I went on and actually ended up winning that match.
Wow.
So I think it's just how you look at yourself, how much you believe, how much you're willing to put in the work, how much you're willing to fight for each point, and I think that made the difference for me.
And how much does the number matter to you?
Well, I'm 13 in the world
13
right
in the
now,
world
and I don't like the number 13.
So you got to get into...
Yeah, but I'd rather be going up than falling, going the other way. So I mean, I would love to be in the top 10 soon. That's the main goal right now, and let's see.
Yeah, wishing like it happens very soon.
Hopefully.
And what about the support from the organizations now, be it sports academies, be it the government, be it brands coming forward? So now do you see a lot more support coming in?
Yeah, I mean, my sponsors fortunately have been people I've been with for the last 9-10 years. Nike has been a huge supporter of my squash. I do have a couple of other corporate sponsors who do help me out a little bit, but the government definitely has been the significant most important change, you know, and they've really helped all of us now, be able to travel for tournaments, and they contribute a little bit. I mean, in squash, if you don't make that kind of money as tennis players or cricket players, but whatever support that we do get really does help us out.
But I want to ask you, sports people tend to have a very luxurious life generally, and that, if not, at least that's the perception. You get to travel, you have brands, you have ambassadors, you can go and do a lot more other things apart from sports, especially as you said, cricket and tennis and things like that. So how much distraction is that, or is it good to actually have that reach amongst the people?
I mean, I think it's really nice that people want to know about you, they want you at events, and it's good for your sport as well. You're giving that kind of recognition and to your sport, especially for squash, to be out there at award functions or do endorsements. I think it really helps the sport in general. But for me personally, I do not do anything that comes in the way of my training or if I'm going to play a tournament. Like for me, my priority is my training, and as long as I'm able to get that done, then exactly. Then if I have the time to do anything else that involves promotional stuff for my my sport, I will do it, but not at the cost of training
and stuff. Ashwini Nachappa was there on the Bangalore edition, and she was telling as an advice to young sports people is that people like you who represent the sports and who's in the top of the game, she feels that you need to take a little time off and educate sports among the young people, because that's when India is the youngest country in the world, or at least going to be. And more people getting into sports is extremely important. So what do you do specially to actually kind of advocate it to the young people?
Well, I do a lot of camps around the country. I do, I do work with kids. I like giving back a little bit, whatever I know from my sport and all my experiences. I obviously don't do it on a full-term capacity because I'm focused on my career right now.
Completely understand.
But when I do get the opportunity, I do go to schools, or if a city wants me to host a camp for their kids, then I do go. I do take that time out and go. But hopefully I'll be able to do more of that once I'm done playing.
Wonderful. In conversation with world number 13, and she doesn't like the number, and I hope it reduces soon. In conversation with Joshna Chinappa, we're going to be right back. Joshna, this portion of the segment of the show, we talk about a couple of key issues. Because we are in Chennai, I wanted to talk about two important things. One is about the recent floods that happened in Chennai. Very catastrophic and unexpected, and I hope it doesn't happen again. What was your experience like?
It was a tough time for everybody, you know. I mean, not just the floods, even the build up to it. There was massive rains, and the roads were flooded, people were stranded. I mean, when the actual whole disaster happened, it was very traumatic, you know. I wasn't there in the country at that time, and I couldn't fly back into Chennai, so I had to actually fly into Bangalore and then get a ride to Chennai. But a lot of people who I knew were affected. My family had their houses flooded, and I mean, obviously people who were in the low-lying areas also struggled so much. So it was a very, very tough and sad time.
And I hope that this is a lesson that we learn. The environment that we live in is extremely important. Absolutely. And nothing is more bigger than Mother Nature.
That is very, very true.
And the second thing that we talk about and trying to help promote awareness is cancer. Yes. It's very alarming to know that more and more people are being diagnosed with cancer. And especially cancer, early detection can actually save life. Somebody yes. who's in the sports business and somebody who advocates fitness. So please give a message to all the people seeing this in terms of spreading awareness on that.
I think firstly it's very important to look after yourself. I think having health is wealth. And in a small way, when I was affected by my injury and I couldn't use my leg literally for 6 months, I truly realized the value of how amazing the human body is and how much we need to really appreciate it and look after it, and eat well, sleep well, drink water, exercise, everything. So I completely advocate looking like exercising, making sure you get your checkups and everything. And in fact, even with my mom, I told her you need to check yourself out, because you may seem like you're healthy or you may seem like you're fine, but you never know when
Correct.
You can be diagnosed with anything. And it's important to spread that message with people who who you're close to, how important it is to really look after yourself. I've had family members who have been diagnosed, with cancer as well, and it's obviously something awful to go through and traumatic for people even around the supporting
absolutely.
people,
Absolutely.
And I mean, of course, there are certain things you may not be able to change, but I think it's important to do whatever it is in your capacity to look after yourself, and then the rest is totally up to God.
Absolutely. And the injury that you had a couple of months back, years back, I must say, how traumatic was it for you, and what really made you to kind of take it positively and get on it much before than what doctors expected you to?
Well, when the injury first happened, it was a shock to me. Like, it really was. I did not even know I had that ligament there, literally, and when I came back, the doctors told me that I needed surgery and all of that. But I'd hit rock bottom pretty much. So for me, the only way to go was up. And this time around, I wanted to make it count. I wanted to do things correctly. I wanted to first strengthen my body, strengthen my leg, get fit, become mentally strong. So whatever was my weakness, I wanted to make it my strength. And that's what I did. I moved to Bombay. I just told God, like, let me walk again, and then I'll be fine. But then when I started walking, I'm like, let me run now, and then I'll be fine. And I said, okay, now you've got to let me play also. So, that's how it all happened. And
8.5 months you were back on the...
Yeah, I mean, I sat on a couch and sulked as well. But it was also positive, because I moved to Bombay. I worked with a really good rehab trainer. I started working with this coach, Ritwik, who was an ex-player, and he really guided me back to, my form and my game and all of that. So to be honest, the injury was really like a blessing in disguise. It really helped me, take that time out from the sport and really do things correctly. So today I don't believe I would be where I was if it had not if that injury had not happened.
Kind of changed your life.
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Last segment on the show, one-liner answers for some quick questions. One advice from someone that's completely changed your life.
I recently met this footballer, Peter Cech, who's the goalkeeper for Arsenal, and he told me that no matter what happens, like the steps never change, like nothing changes. You still have to go back and do the work from scratch. Like you could win, you could lose, but it's always like love all, literally, because you still have to do everything from the beginning to get to where you want to.
Yeah, wonderful. One incident that completely changed your life?
I think my injury? For sure. Yeah.
One tournament of yours that you cherish the most because of whatever reasons that happened?
This was a long time back. So this was when I was about 16. I had gone with my whole Indian team to Pakistan to play the Asian Junior Championships, and because of the security issues, between the two countries, we were allowed to go play there, but we were not allowed to leave our hotel at any point. So all the teams were always hanging out in the hotel, and we would do lunch, dinner, everything at the hotel. And I just remember laughing the hardest during that tournament, that literally even the staff of the hotel had to tell me to calm down. But because I laughed so much, that just became like my best memory of a tournament.
Wonderful. And one sports person any sports, whom you admire a lot?
I love PT Usha. She is my favorite. I have huge admiration for her, what she's achieved, how she's handled her career, and come from nowhere, literally, and to have achieved what she has is just so inspirational.
Absolutely. One advice to young people who are watching this, who want to get into sports, what would you like to tell them?
I would say, you have to work hard. Nothing comes in sports, without anything for that matter, without working hard. And I think it's also important to study as well, and keep your education going to that basic level of education where you have the choice to either study or to go full-time pro, and have fun with whatever you're doing.
And one advice to young girls seeing this, who wants to take up roads less traveled, because most of the sports, the girls are like, the parents wouldn't allow them to take it up. What would you like to tell them?
I think you have to to be able to convince people around you. I think you have to believe in it that much, and if you keep doing the work, and if you're relentless in what you want to do, I think people are going to eventually say, okay, you know what, we can't stop you. And that, even if that includes your parents, who might be strict, or family that who may say, no, girls are not supposed to do sports, and all of that. I think if you have that conviction and that belief that you can do this, I think no one can stop you.
One fun thing that you do apart from playing sports, any sports?
I surf.
Oh, so you can't take sports away from you at all?
Well, I don't get the time to do that much of other stuff, but I go surfing.
What about music, movies?
I watch movies. I watch a lot of Tamil and Malayalam movies.
Nice. So one movie off late that you've seen that completely blew your mind away?
I love Premam.
Yeah,
I
everyone's
really
talking
liked
about it.
It was so nice.
One actor, any language that you really like?
I like Ajit a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actress?
I like Kalki actually.
Kalki Kekla.
Yeah.
Nice. You've been partnering with Deepika Palikkal a lot, and a message you want to send across to her through the show?
Actually, we were just together like literally 2 nights back, because we all flew back from Taiwan. I mean, not much. I'll just see you soon, because I'm seeing her in 3 days. We're going to Hong Kong together.
Nice. A message to Pankaj Advani.
He needs to go easy on Batman and Superman. Like, he is obsessed with Batman, especially, and like on my Twitter, because we follow each other. He's only talking about Batman. So I'll be like, easy
Relax.
on the Batman.
And one thing that gives Joshna a high, a kick.
A really good weight training session.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes me feel super strong and super high.
Wonderful. It's been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
I mean, you're young, you're energetic, you're passionate about what you do. And I think we hope that you make India proud, because you've done a lot of, one of the first pioneers in breaking records and stuff like that. And I hope you continue doing that in the journey, and you create your own journey and mark a history in the sports of, in the sport of squash. More and more wishes.
Thank you.
Your thoughts of coming on the show?
I'm really glad. I'm so excited to have met you and done this show in Chennai. So I wish you all the best as well.
Thank you.
More amazing guests for you and good conversations.
Thank you. Joshna, before we let you go, a small goodie bag from our gifting partner.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, this is all for your dad, I guess.
All right. Thank you. That's very
You
nice.
must be happy.
Hi, I'm Joshna Chinappa and you're watching Let's Talk with Vinay. Subscribe to this channel for more inspiring stories you just cannot miss. Become mentally strong. So whatever was my weakness, I wanted to make it my strength. And that's what I did. I moved to Bombay. I just told God, like, let me walk again and then I'll be fine. But then when I started walking, I'm like, let me run now and then I'll be fine. And I said, okay, now you've got to let me play.